How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good, doing good. And look at this. Luke's points miles, first comment. Well, not the first comment, second comment. Is he
Hmm.
wearing the hat? JP's wearing the hat, the infamous
I'm
hat.
wearing a hat. I think you might be talking about maybe the one I was wearing at the Point Smiles meetup in Vegas, which is more of like
Ah,
the fedora. So, but
gotcha. I did
usually wearing
like
it.
that hat. I really did
Yeah.
like that fedora. I was down with that. And Mars in here.
Excuse me.
Hope this is filled with a little bit of tomfoolery. We live, y'all. What's going on? AA Ron. Yeah, a little bit. We're a day off. Usually we're on Saturdays. We're on Sundays today. Had some crazy stuff I had to do. So now we're here though. We have some good time. So Mr. Do Your Research in the building, Mr. Sledge. What's going on, everybody? Josh, what is up? Appreciate everyone being here on a nice Sunday night, afternoon, wherever you live. And El Torres, Nick Carello. Oh, there we go. Spencer Hewitt. So much knowledge, so little space, Mister. And that's perfect. Perfect segue. The man in front of me, who sits before me, if you look in the pinned comment, it is his channel. By the end of it, you're going to want to subscribe because this guy's name is JP Knowledge. How's that for a promo? Mr. JP Knowledge is a content creator here on YouTube, if you're already unfamiliar. And he has been doing videos for the last few years now. I consider him an OG in the credit card space, but not only credit cards, but also personal finance. And he's had a plethora of videos going back. See, I don't know all of your history, so I had to do a little bit of research. And I learned that you had a lot of personal finance and just like travel tip videos, like what had, passport tips and just budgeting tips and basically everything that has to do with finance I've found on your channel. And I was like, wow, this guy's really been through it. Putting in a lot of content, which I'm guessing is why your name is JP Knowledge. Got a lot of knowledge on all these things, right? Um, so so of course, and then I saw you kind of transitioned a little bit to like the crypto stuff, and like again, just a world of knowledge, and then of course transitioned into credit cards. And one thing that I saw over the years, one thing that remained consistent, was that I kept seeing one particular hotel brand kept coming up above the rest. And this is one that I guess it seems like you have been blowing the whistle on earlier than anybody else in the space. Maybe I'm doing people a disservice, but what's the deal with Hyatt Hotels? What's the deal? Why have you been so early in adopting Hyatt Hotels before the rest of us? And why are they so great as a brand, you think?
Yeah. So the reason for that is because Hyatt is going to be, if you're someone who's new into the points and miles game, Hyatt is going to be one of the easiest programs to get good value. So if you look at like with the Points Guy or any one of these blogs, Frequent Miler puts up for like the value of their points, they'll
Hmm.
put Hyatt somewhere near between like 1.7 to 2 cents per point in value. Um, so if you grab onto your chase points, or if you just redeem with the World of Hyatt, you'll
Hmm.
easily be able to see yourself getting that level of value even just early on without even needing to find like some crazy redemption at like the Big Sur, Ventana Big Sur hotel where you can get
Hmm.
even more than that. Um, but if you just happen to be going at regular Hyatt places, Hyatt houses, Hyatt Regencies, you'll be like, oh wow, if I transfer over my points, instead of me getting 1 cent per point in value with just cashing out my points, um, or 1.25 or 1.5 going through the travel portal with Chase, I
Hmm.
can get myself 2 cents per point in value with Hyatt. So early on, that was definitely something that I learned and was like, oh, okay, I can just take advantage of transferring points over there and not have to worry about getting under the value if I happen to transfer over to another program and not quite fully understand exactly how to get good value. So one of the things like I love to tell people on my channel is to go to Hyatt just because if you are newer, it's just an easy way to get positive value. So
Hmm.
yeah.
For sure. So was there like because this is how it was for me, right? So I got started and I was in the Hilton world, and that's just because growing up, that's kind of where we stayed as a family. We stayed at Hilton hotels and maybe some Hampton inns and stuff like that. And so having that experience growing up, that's kind of what I always gravitated towards. So once I got into the credit card game, I got Hilton credit cards, right? And then I started staying in more Hilton hotels. And
Mhm.
what ended up happening was, like, I guess now this is maybe my 4th or 5th year in the journey, I met a guy named Cal BNG. He's another content creator, great guy, my best friend really, and he's been educating me on Hyatt hotels. And he was like, "Hey man, Hilton sucks. Hyatt's where it's at." He says, this is where the value is." And I didn't believe him until I started transferring my Chase points. And like you said, man, the average, like the aggregate of my points being worth, like with Chase points transferred to Hyatt, is like 2 to 3 cents per point. Like 3 cents per point is like kind of like the average, which is absolutely insane. Was there like a moment for you? Like what made you adopt Hyatt so early? Because it's not a hotel most people think about. I don't think people think about Hyatt hotels when they're not in the credit card game. I don't know if I'm wrong though.
Um, yeah, well, people still like Hyatts. Like I definitely have friends who like to stay at Hyatt hotels, especially like Hyatt Place, the Hyatt House, which is consistently pretty nice. At least for like lower level, if you
Hmm.
compare it to like I don't know what would be like a lower level with like a Hilton was like a DoubleTree or something like that. So,
Hmm.
um, but for me, what ended up happening was I was with Hilton or with Hyatt. I would just stay at one of those, and then when Hyatt had their super easy ability to get Globalists in 2021, I got Globalists in like February of 2021 because they
Hmm.
had it like half the amount of stays, and then the first um, I think it was like 2 months you got double stays, so I got Globalist really, really quickly, and then I was
Hmm.
just going to different like in 2021. I know a lot of people were locked down and didn't go as many places, but if you looked at like the ability to travel, it was like I went to Hawaii for I think it was like $120 round trip,
Wow.
paid cat like okay, and then uh but having Hyatt, I was like, okay, cool. I have this Globalist. Let me see. Everyone's talked about Globalist. Let me see how good Globalist is. And then I would go to places and I was just getting upgrades, getting free breakfast, getting
Hmm.
treated really well, getting different gifts in my room. And I was
Wow.
just like, oh yeah, this is pretty nice. So I'm gonna kind of stick with this. And then I had the ability to get it the year after Globalist, and then now this is my third year as a Globalist, and I'm just like, it's when I compare it to some of the other properties I've been to, it's been really nice to have like the higher status.
Definitely. And that was one of my questions, which, I'm like, and Hell is right here in the chat. He says he's got his notebook down. He's trying to get some his Hyatt secrets from the man JP himself. A lot of people, Wandering Doc, what's going on, MR, they all want to learn about some Hyatt. So this is perfect. You're in the right place. So that was one thing. I left a comment on one of your past videos recently, when you were talking about like how you value your Hyatt globalist status, and
Mhm.
just exactly how much value you're getting, from globalists. And I never understood it. Chad's coming in, let's go. um, so
But
I was trying to understand because I was going through it and I'm like, this seems like just the same as Hilton. Like, okay, I'm a gold status. All right, I can get a free bottle of water, but I can get that if I just ask the guy anyway, but whether I'm gold or not. Maybe I can get a free room upgrade when it's available, etc. But you kind of made the point that it's more than that. And could you lay out like what's the real, like, I really am still trying to be sold on why globalists, like, why did everyone do a mattress run earlier this year? Was it worth staying, what was it, 10 nights or 20 nights, whatever it was,
one
to
night,
get globalists? Yeah. What's the
yeah.
reason?
So I mean, for different, I don't know if it was worth it for everyone to do the 20 nights. You do have to do the math for yourself because there's different levels of globalists. So you can get
Hmm.
the 20 nights globalist where you're gonna get the room upgrades and you're going to get the free breakfast and the main benefits that you get with globalist. But then there's also the tiers going up to globalist. So if you
Hmm.
get the tiers going up to globalist, where you end up getting free night awards certificates such as category 1 to 4 when you reach 30 nights. Then there's also going to be the one where you get category 1 to 7 when you reach 60 nights. There's also going to be
Hmm.
the suite upgrade awards guaranteed at the time of booking.
Hmm.
So when you actually end up adding all of those, you can get like even more value than just Globalist sets itself. But when you compare, like I would say Globalist as compared to the other ones, if you look at something like Hilton Diamond status, Hilton Diamond status is actually really good. I wouldn't tell people, oh, don't get that because if everyone's a diamond, then you can't. No, like even Luke has shown on his own channel that, hey, if you're a diamond, there's still not going to be as many diamonds around as you think. So you still
Hmm.
actually can get a lot of these upgrades. You still actually get a lot of great benefits. But with Hyatt, there's even fewer, and it ends up being like if you go to a lot of these properties where you get yourself full on breakfasts, like breakfasts that could end up costing, like when I was at the Park Hyatt in Tokyo, I mean, the breakfast would have been like, I think it was like $70, and I just get it for free. It was just incredible.
Hmm.
Getting upgrades at these different hotels that I've gotten. I normally take a taxi or an Uber when I'm traveling overseas, or just in generally within America. But if you happen to be parking at this place, you can get free parking as well, which can save people a ton of money there.
Hmm.
And then when it comes to, uh, I guess there's those. I'm trying to think. But if you actually end up looking at the stuff you would actually get as well when you go up it, if you look at like a suite upgrade award, which is something that I've used a few times this year, like
Hmm.
when I was in Madrid, the hotel that I had, the original room would have been near about $400, but the suite upgrade award that I had guaranteed for the week got me to a room that was like over $1,000 a night. So that ends up just
Wow.
being ridiculous value. Yeah.
Huh. And guys, look at how JP look at how you just casually dropped that you went to Hawaii, Tokyo. You know, was it Spain the last one? Spain, you just
Spain
said.
was the last. Well, I guess
Uh,
technically
this-
Vegas was the last, but Spain was the last
yeah,
international. Yeah.
right. Um, Sledge says, "I guess I'll give Hyatt another try one day." Now I want to isolate those other trips in a little bit, but I actually want to actually isolate the Japan trip right now.
Sure.
Because you just mentioned something that's really interesting for me, which is you just said that you got like a $70 meal at the Park Hyatt in Tokyo, and that was completely free, just because of your globalist status. Like that, I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah. So it's not just like some of them you get continental breakfast if you end up having top status with, I think, like Marriott and Hilton. But
Yeah.
with Hyatt, you get free full breakfast. So when I go there and get breakfast, they'll show me a list of things that could be like there was fruit basket that I got at the Park Hyatt that would have been like $20, some ridiculous price. It
Yeah.
was the best fruit I've ever had. It was so good.
Really?
It took them like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to bring it out, and I was like, "Hey, where's my fruit?" They go, "Oh no, we're making it very very fresh." It was like they just
French.
picked it, cut it up, and then just made it to me at that moment out in like Tokyo. For those who haven't visited, absolutely incredible when it comes to just the service and the people, and I love it. I'm definitely going back to there. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, just being able to get that. Um, and so yeah, that hotel, the Park Hyatt in Tokyo, normally would end up costing about like $800 a night. So this is
Hmm.
definitely like a higher end hotel. It's not just a hotel that costs maybe $300. It's charging 70, $80 for a breakfast.
Hmm.
But it was very fresh, and it makes a difference if you want to have more than just a continental breakfast. And you want to actually have a full breakfast. You get that with Hyatt Globalist.
Wow. See, that for me is really like, see, that's like where a lot of the value is for me. Like I was just in when we were just in Vegas, right? And I was hanging out with CJ, and he was getting at the Conrad, like I think it was $25 a day for everybody that was on his reservation, and I think it was just
Mm.
him. But he had two people that would have been like $50 a day, so like a free meal comped in credits, I should say, every single day, which I think is like, wow, that's so powerful. Because like no matter what, I'm trying to get some, I'm trying to get some extra calories in at the end of the day, no matter what. We're always a little bit underfed in on vacations because, it's a lot of money. So,
Sure.
so that means a lot to me. Now, getting these free things, is that just because it was a Park Hyatt, like a really high end Hyatt, or is it just ones that do include continental breakfast that does have a restaurant?
No, so pretty much any if it's not a small luxury hotels of the world, you are going to get free breakfast. So Thompson Hotels, you're going to get free breakfast. Hyatt Regency, Grand Hyatts, these are all going to be places where you can end up getting free full breakfast.
Hmm.
In When I was in Germany, I believe the breakfast was going to be 50. Sorry, I'm not trying to just drop. I'm
I
just remember
love
the
it.
prices of the
Yep.
places,
Yep.
but the breakfast was going to be like I think it was like $55 is what it said the breakfast would be. And for me, I like to just go down, get a breakfast at the hotel, and then just be off on my adventure and not have to
Hmm.
worry about it and not have to. And the breakfasts I've gotten in a lot of these places have just been really, really good. So,
Hmm.
could you say that the value, or could you say that they're overcharging? Possibly, but there's a lot of people at this hotel who are paying $55 for that breakfast. We're paying $75 for that
Yeah.
breakfast. So, yeah. I'm happy to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it's something you would be, at some point you'll probably be spending money there, for most people. I mean, a lot of people do like to go out and try the food of the land, but not always. When I'm on vacation occasionally, I'll try to get the hotel food as well, as long as I'm allotted some credits. And Wandering Doc says Hyatt has some great breakfast too. You can confirm, Thompson especially. And Sledge says my anniversary is coming up soon. I'm not sure which brand will get my money. Maybe that's when I'll give Hyatt another shot. Um,
Should.
One thing I learned recently too about Hyatt hotels, which I thought was cool. I feel like it's maybe I'm just ignorant of it, but I didn't realize this was a thing. But Calby taught me this when we went to Nashville. So I guess if you stay at 5 unique Hyatt properties, you're
Mhm.
gonna get a free night certificate. I think a category 1 to 4, right? So how
Right.
does tell us what that is.
Yeah. So if you stayed at, say, for instance, so this everyone's going to have many different properties, whether it be like the autograph with, is that Marriott? Marriott has autograph
Yeah.
collection, and then you have like the Curio with Hilton, and then
Mhm.
with Hyatt you could have Hyatt Place, Hyatt Regency, Park Hyatt. If you stay at 5 different ones, then you end up getting yourself a category 1 to 4. Um,
Mm.
it is pretty cool. However, it doesn't like reset itself, so we can get it again. So uh, there's some that you might end up like being at many times. Like I've been to Park Hyatts a few times. I've been to Hyatt
Mhm.
Regencies many times, so I don't get to get more of those. But I have gotten myself, I believe, definitely 2. I haven't gotten the third one yet. I think you
Hmm.
can actually get 4 as a whole because they added in like a new um, all-inclusive properties that can be in there. Maybe it's
Hmm.
5, but yeah, if you see that you've stayed at a Hyatt Place, a Hyatt Regency, a Park Hyatt, a Grand Hyatt, and then you have the option to stay at uh, a Thompson Hotel or a another Hyatt Place, go to the
Hmm.
Thompson because you're going to get yourself pretty much like a $200 to $400 value for that Category 1 to 4 certificate.
Huh. Yeah, it's a good point. Like you kind of made me think about it. Like it's kind of inherent in the actual allowing you to do that, but it makes me think like, if I have 2 more hotels left, I stayed at 3 of them, and I have the option between one of the two. Maybe there's like one a more expensive brand, but
Mhm.
that also kind of like forces you a little bit to go with the more expensive brand, which ends up yielding like maybe a better experience too. So I kind of like that almost like forced lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Um, is there so a lot of people too, because recently this reminds me because since you said you get a category 1 to 4, free night certificate with Hyatt. I recently got my wife. She got a the World of Hyatt credit card,
Yep.
and main reason we got it is because it's a $95 annual fee, and it comes with the yearly free night certificate. 1 to 4 category hotel. Um, do you have this card? You have
I
must,
do.
right?
Yes.
Of course.
Yes. Yeah.
What's stupid question. What is your advice for someone like me who just got that free night certificate for how to maximize the free night certificate with Hyatt? I should say. What's your advice for that? You think?
Yeah, so the best way to maximize it is category, or Hyatt has these categories, but you have to look at hotels that are going to have the peak and off peak. And if you go during a peak time, instead of using 15,000 points, which could end up costing, it actually would end up costing 18,000 points because during peak. So if you
Hmm.
actually end up grabbing that category 1 to 4, you can end up actually getting it to save you 18,000 points. So that's what I
Hmm.
would recommend. So like places that I've used mine at last year, I used it at Grand Hyatt and Berlin. It was going to be $400 a night, and I forget how many of them I had, but I used some of those and then also um, points, and it saved me because at that time it was not only there like a marathon going on, but it was also during Oktoberfest. So it was going to
Oh,
be 18,000 points each night actually to stay there because it was peak
yeah.
time the entire time, and I was able to get myself. I was able to use these to save those points, but the hotel was going to cost a little bit over $400 each day. So
Wow.
look for it in places where it might end up being like a little bit more. I guess like during the peak times, during
Mhm.
a a big event, like well, I think they actually just changed the categories. But if you happen to go to New Orleans for like Mardi Gras or something like that, they used
Hmm.
to have Hyatt hotels out there that were Category 4, the Eliza Jane, but I think that they changed that.
Hmm.
So I think that that's now Category 5. But yeah, look at times where where the properties end up being extra expensive. That's how you're gonna get the best value.
Gotcha. Oh man. Oh my god, right at the end. Mr. Keith S coming in hot. 20 out 20 spot. Appreciate you, man. Oh my god. This is like he's he's a regular now, man. I appreciate you, Keith. He asks you, JP, he asks you a question. He says, JP, how often do you see Hyatt status matches or accelerated globalist promotions like the build promo earlier this year?
So they've done them the last 3 years. Ever since the pandemic happened, they've had some each time. But there's also, if you happen to be a part of like a larger corporation, depending on like where you work, they actually offer these a lot of the time where you can get yourself they call it Globalist Light. I mean, they don't call it, but people in the community call it Globalist Light, where if you stay 20 nights in 90 days, you can end up getting Globalist. I've seen it. Let's see, they had it Built Rewards this year. They had it last year. I forget if there was a specific reason, but they had it. And then they had it. Yeah, they've had it at least the last, maybe is it three or, yeah, it's 2023, 2022. Yes,
Hmm.
they've had it for the last 3 years. My guess is that they're going to have it again next year. It might not be connected specifically with Built or something, but currently, right now, if you happen to actually have American Airlines higher tier status, you actually can do this exact same promotion as well. So this promotion comes around, I would say, frequently. So if you really, really want to get Globalist, chances are you're going to have an opportunity to get it.
Hmm. Wow. That's pretty interesting for me to hear. And thank you again, Keith. I really appreciate you, man. That's amazing. And actually, that's a great question because that's something that makes me think now. Like after you're telling me this little bit of value so far that you've gotten, like it's a lot of value, but a little bit tidbits makes me think like, maybe these dudes that did the mattress run, got the globalist status might be worth it. Maybe I'm gonna have to look out for the next one. But you're saying American Airlines has this kind of promotion running?
So American Airlines and Hyatt are partnered. You can
Hmm.
earn American Airlines miles if you stay at Hyatt, and same thing with Hyatt points. You have to have a certain level of status with the programs to actually be able to do this. So you can't
Hmm.
just have no status. But if you happen to have, I believe, at least gold status with American Airlines, you can
Hmm.
earn some Hyatt points. But if you happen to have, ooh, which status is it? Is it? I don't know if it's Platinum Pro. You have to have a higher level of American Airlines status to be able to currently get this promotion. Um, but yeah, there is an opportunity to get it if you happen to have American Airlines status right now.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Interesting. And it looks like we have a slight bit of contention in the comments here. We got Luke saying
Mhm.
that he says he's going to be staying at his fifth Hyatt property in November, and he's going to get a free night, but he still thinks the Hilton program is worlds better. And then Doc comes in and says, "Breakfast at Hilton, even as a Diamond member, never impressed me like Hyatt breakfast do."
Mhm.
Hmm. I don't know. I think of the
So
Hiltons and the Hyatts, well, at least in my experience, my short-lived experience, before you tell me your world experience, I found that at least the Hilton, like, the Garden Inns that I've been at and the Hilton, I think the Trues and the Hyatt Places, I feel like yeah, I did feel like Hyatt had more of a selection of food in the breakfast hall, but,
mm,
let me what do you think?
I don't know that much about the Hilton one, so I can't really say it as a
Hmm,
comparison. I have stayed at Hilton hotels, but um, usually it ends up being some of the higher end ones that I've been at. My brother does a lot of stuff with Hilton, so he's earned a ton of Hilton points. So anytime I hang out with him, we always go to Hilton's. But so how I look at it for what Luke is saying is, if you happen to right now be at zero, then Hilton is going to be better because you can just get yourself the Hilton Aspire card, and you're going to already be diamond, and it is way easier to get yourself great value for the Hilton properties. But
hmm,
if you can get yourself 60 elite nights with Hyatt and actually get yourself the 4 suite upgrade awards guaranteed, there's no other program out there that allows you to get guaranteed at the time of booking.
hmm,
So when I went to Madrid, I made that booking in, I believe it was like October of November of the previous year for when, so I did in 2022 to go in 2023. And I already had the suites guaranteed at that time for only 15,000 points each night, that I would have actually, it would have, is what I had to pay for each night staying there. And if I wanted to do it with cash, it would have been $1,000. If I wanted to do it with points, it would have been 30,000 points for the or 24,000 points for the suites. So
Hmm.
being able to get yourself suite upgrade award guaranteed, I think ends up being pretty awesome. And then also having, if you want to have your own concierge, to actually be able to email them, ask them questions about certain bookings. This is also something you get at 60 Elite Nights.
Hmm.
So I have heard people say that, Hilton is better, and I don't want to knock Hilton because Hilton's my number two, but it ends up being for me, if you get top tier status with both of them, and I mean like the full globalist status,
Hmm.
the benefits are going to be more than what you get for Hilton.
Huh. I mean, just your own concierge service. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That is pretty wild. And um,
He looks at 60 Elite Nights.
he's freaking out.
Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, I'm someone who, so how I people like ask me how do I, get to those nights, and you use the
Hmm.
card, you can get yourself a couple of nights each time with the card, but I'm someone who I like if I have a few days off, I'll go on a trip to somewhere that's not, overseas. So
Hmm.
if I have a couple days off, I'll go over to Austin. Like I've done that where I just have 2 days off. I'll go over to Austin. I
Hmm.
was talking to Spencer about Terry Blacks. I know that because I went over to Austin just for a couple days, ate there, stayed at the Tommy Hotel up there, and then just
Hmm.
went back. And then I had a couple days, different times this year. I went out to Seattle. I know that
Hmm.
Matt lives out in Seattle. We kind of talked about things out there. So, a lot of people, I encourage you guys, even if you don't have a ton of time, to just jump on a plane and go to places if you have the points, because it is actually a lot of fun to do.
Hmm. So you just kind of just choose a random destination on a map, or
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I'll just be like, all right, where do I kind of feel like going? And then I don't know. I'm trying to think of exactly my process of how I found certain places, but
Hmm.
uh, yeah, kind of just say, where am I going? I'm just gonna go and let's go to Utah for a few days, and then
Huh.
just go do that. So yeah,
That's pretty cool, man. I like that. I
yeah,
like that. Especially if you yeah, as Chad says, earn and burn. If you got the points, just hit on out there. That's pretty cool. I would love to start doing that in the not so distant future. Hmm.
yeah. I got it
Um.
from
Hmm.
what was Tim and Finn is like they have a pretty decent sized YouTube channel, but they don't really do as much of it anymore. They just more do like a packing gear that they sell online. I
Yeah.
remember them saying it where they were just like, yeah, we would always have our next trip planned, and we would always just want to go to places for a weekend, and then they just love doing it, and it actually ends up being a lot of fun. Just, I mean, especially if you have a 3 day weekend, but you can leave on a Friday night, fly out somewhere, and then stay there and then leave on the Sunday night. You might be tired at work on the Monday morning, but you're gonna have a great time
Yeah.
in a new place. So
You had a great experience. Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate how fast you can get to places.
yeah,
Like that. I think I remember as a kid doing that. Like maybe leaving on a Thursday, flying to Florida from New York, leaving, and then, yeah, getting home Sunday night, and it feels like a huge vacation. Like, feels like just many, many days that you're there, and, it's a lot of fun, and especially if you hit it hard when you get there. You have the tour ready, you have everything ready. That's
yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
Another thing on the topic, kinda Keith brought up, which I think would relate to you maybe. It depends if you've done this, but Keith has been kind of vocal that the executive lounges have been closed, like, pretty much fully, for Hilton hotels last month, and I know a lot of people, in the Discord were talking about how they were getting a lot of value from executive lounges and Hiltons, like, overseas. Um, did you ever experience, executive lounges at all?
So just like the Hyatt lounges within the, you
Well,
talking about
for
Hyatt or with
Hilton.
Hilton? With
Hilton.
Hilton?
Yeah.
No, I don't think I. There was no. There was one I think we actually had at our hotel in when I was in Miami. I was in Miami last year, but we were just out just
Hmm.
nonstop. My brother, we went to Miami versus. I'm from Massachusetts originally, so we went out there for a Miami versus
Oh.
Patriots game, and the Patriots they're just not good anymore.
Oh, no.
but but we had a great time. So as soon as I landed, we were barely even at the hotel. funny enough, I was like, hey, don't you have free breakfast? I was talking to my brother who's top tier Diamond Hilton, actually from like staying it because he's in the military and they put him in hotels and all this stuff all the time.
Hmm.
And he just went out for breakfast. I don't think he even knows this is even a benefit that he could even get like the continental breakfast at the hotel. And I'm just like, okay, I guess we're gonna go spend money somewhere. But no, I've never done it with Hilton. I have done um, lounge access with Hyatt. There was the one in the Grand Hyatt in Berlin had one. The Hyatt Regency in Tokyo. So I stayed at the Hyatt Regency and also the Park Hyatt in Tokyo. It had one that would have been nicer, but there was like damage that actually happened to the hotel. So they moved it to like the basement and just kind of like remade one where it was nice to be able to just go down there at like 6 p.m. You could get some drinks, some food, and then you could just be off. So it's nice to have like a couple hours where if you wanted to really save money, you could just go down there and like just eat enough food or you wouldn't even need another meal. But also if you just want to pregame and not have to worry about spending a lot of money on alcohol, then you could do it there as well.
Hmm. That's pretty cool. I actually wasn't even aware that Hyatt had these lounges, to be honest. I had no
Yeah.
idea.
They've
Huh.
also a lot of them shut down as well during COVID,
Hmm.
during the pandemic. But
Makes
yeah,
sense. Hmm. Do you see them more internationally as well?
um, yeah. Well, I don't know about specifically. Do I see them more internationally? I guess so. There was one in Istanbul, in the Grand Hyatt in Istanbul. There was one. I swear I'm not trying to name drop.
Oh,
I'm
no,
literally
I'm
just I
just so
see
happy when I hear it. I love hearing
because I'm
it.
trying to think of the ones where I saw them. The Grand Hyatt in Istanbul had one. So yes, but I didn't have any in. So I don't know about specifically this more internationally. I think it's more of if you go to Grand Hyatts, if you go to higher higher tier Hyatt hotels, is the ones that are actually going to have it.
Gotcha. So that's pretty cool. And that's honestly, I do feel instantly, not to play on your name more, but I do feel more knowledgeable now about Hyatt hotels. Uh, Having you just kind of debrief me on all this. This is, I mean, I'm already like sold on Hyatt because I've been using it for every trip lately.
Yeah.
Um, but that's really something. Yeah, that's really really something.
Mm,
Um, so,
well, one of the things I would say about Hyatt points, if I could, the reason like one of the big things that kind of I think a lot of people in the points and miles game why they will rave about Hyatt is because
mm,
if you look at the points values for just redeeming your points with the program, the
mm,
Hyatt hotel program is going to give you more value than just cashing out um, your ultimate reward points and then
mm,
booking a Hyatt hotel. But if you look at this, isn't all Hiltons. I know Luke has shown many Hiltons that he stayed at, and if also you take advantage of the fifth night free, you
mm,
can get yourself better value doing it that way. But for a lot of Hilton and Marriott's, and definitely IHG, if you cash out your points and then just grab that cash and then use one of their top tier credit cards and then make the booking, you're actually going to end up getting yourself better value that way than you
mm,
would just from transferring the points at a unless it's a higher transfer bonus, but at the transfer bonus from American Express over to one of these programs. So it's not again, it's not 100%, but a lot of them ends up actually being that way if you do the math.
yeah,
And yeah, so that's one of the reasons why
mm.
like Hyatt, it's rarer that that's actually going to be the case.
That's a good point. That's a very good point that I think a lot of people don't consider. It's like, why would I, like maybe, I guess you get the cash value, right, which may be more in just every other case, but maybe like someone like me has a Charles Schwab platinum card. Why not take
Yeah,
my Amex points, cash them out at 1.1 instead of transferring it to Hilton and get zero point 0.5, zero point 0.6, unless I'm doing a really good booking, or fifth night free. I think that's a good point. And then you just kind of pay cash. And if you have like a Hilton card, pay with that and you get points back and
exactly.
whatnot. That's a
Yeah,
that's very smart. I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider just the cash value overall. They just think like I have to get the points, gotta get the points so we can pay for the stay. That's a good point. Um, a random question popped into my head, just because I just want to know the five category hotels. Like, you're staying at five different unique Hyatt hotels to get the free night certificate. Does that reset every calendar year?
no. So if you stay at one hotel now and then 3 years from now you stay at four other different properties, you'll end up getting that free 1 to 4 category certificate.
And is there a cap on how many times you can do that?
So it ends up after you stayed at a Hyatt place, it checks off, but you can't check off Hyatt place ever again. So technically, there is a certain amount that you can. I forget how many it is because they've added in. They just bought out like all these different all inclusives. So I think it's either like 4 or 5 free night awards you can get in total.
Yeah.
But I don't know the exact number. I think it's 5, but I could be wrong on that.
I'm surprised there's even 25 different brands.
Yeah, because you start looking at like Ziva, Solara, that's going to be 2 different ones right there when it comes to all-inclusives. And then there's all these different dream hotels that they just got a part of as well.
Right.
So there's like a lot of ones that I haven't stayed at, but you could, if you're into all-inclusives, you could check off a lot of those pretty quickly.
Gotcha. That's pretty cool. So now if I can get into something I'm a little more excited, I'm very excited about is like we alluded to earlier, we mentioned so far just in this stream alone we've heard you went to Germany, Istanbul, Turkey, you've been to Japan, been to Spain, Hawaii, and then the continental United States. I feel like you're a guy I can just name a place on the map and you've probably been there. Like,
no, that's not actually the case. I mean, funny enough, the first time I was ever on a plane, I believe I was either 24 or 25. I'm in my early 30s right now. As a kid, we like never traveled. I grew up in Massachusetts. I go around New England. We drive around there and took a bus down to West Virginia. I have some family down there. But yeah, I almost never traveled, and but not until I would say more recently, maybe like the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I've been kind of ramping up my travel.
Gotcha. And not to cut you myself off here, but the Amazing Dollar Man came in also hot and heavy with the 5 super chat here. Appreciate you, man. The Amazing Dollar Man. He's also like a regular here, man. He's always coming here. We love Dollar Man. He's in the Discord as well. He said he wasn't familiar with JP's game, but just subscribed to his channel. Really lives up to his knowledge moniker. Good-ish as always, Anthony.
Thank you.
Hell yeah, JP, man. Like I said this a couple streams ago too. Like I've been sleeping on JP's knowledge. I really need to watch even more. Actually, just all of your stuff. I think the last one I saw was your Hyatt, and I wanted to watch your Spain trip and everything. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but definitely, if you guys aren't already, subscribe to Mr. JP because way more knowledgeable than I could ever be. So that's why he's here.
Thank you. Appreciate the compliment.
For sure. Luke came in and said, well, actually, yeah, a couple things. So, actually, just to finish up our topic there, and Hell says, I believe there's 28 different brands of Hyatt hotels, so almost 5 certificates, or I guess 5 certificates if you were to stay in all their properties. That's pretty cool. But Luke said JP is a citizen of the world with a bunch of exclamation points, which is something he mentioned on the last live stream, which was, become a citizen of the world, go to all of these different locations, these countries, gain a different perspective, indulge in these different cultures, so this way you can gain the knowledge of everyone else in the world. You can have just these different perspectives in life, and it makes you more well-rounded human. Do you find this to be true for yourself? Are you a citizen of the world, JP?
Yes, I watched that you guys live last week, and I agree with Luke 100% on that. There's a lot of different things you can learn from traveling. Like, there's a lot. I'm not going to get political at all on this, but there's a lot of people who are unhappy with how things are going here and saying that there's different groups that are fighting. And what I realized from traveling is there's people fighting all around in places. Like when I was in Istanbul, I absolutely loved being in Turkey. The people were so sweet to me. Came back to America and I was telling people how much I loved Turkey. And there were some Armenian friends being like, Turkey? Oh, and I never knew that there was beef between these two groups. I go, oh, okay. And then when I went over to Tokyo and was telling my Korean friends about how much I love Tokyo, and they were like, apparently there's beef between. So I'm just like, oh, okay. So the beef
Hmm.
that we think that there are some groups with in America that's been going on for many, many years, it's happening in these places. It's happening in those places. So if people can come together, that's like, I guess what I'm just trying to get at is that I start to realize more that it's not just here. It's a kind of like a world problem thing. So
Hmm. I think that's very true. I mean, yeah, there is, you know, there is, I guess, some people mention like a total maybe suffering around the world. I don't like to think that. I like to be optimistic and say, for the most part, things will be all right, with enough
yeah.
time.
But people
Um,
are very nice around the world. I will say that everywhere that I've been so far, I've had people just be incredibly nice to me. So
hmm,
I've yet to have a problem where there was this one drunk guy in Madrid who I I didn't know if I was gonna have to drop him, but uh, other than that, it was like 9:30 in the morning, and this guy was just hammered right in front of me, and he was speaking in Spanish, and he wasn't very big, and I was just like, oh. But other than that one guy, I've had I've felt quite safe and actually had a great time everywhere in the world.
man, it's too bad you didn't drop that fool. We got a good
No,
story right
I
now.
don't want to do that in a different country. No way.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, I don't even.
Exactly.
I'm a lover now too. I feel like at a certain age, I don't think people should be fighting anymore. If you're a young kid and you're 13, 14, and maybe you can learn how to just conquer battles. Maybe a little bit of fighting. The kids
Hmm,
do. I grew up in Massachusetts. Everyone fights out there. Probably similar in
hmm,
New York, I'd imagine. Um, but after a certain age, I mean, you get into your 20s. Why are we fighting? There's no reason for me to be fighting people unless you're a professional in the UFC.
right,
What am I fighting for?
right. And a good life lesson here by Luke. No, no, never bother a drunk Spaniard in the morning. It's bad luck. So I, that's why I heard that, and Caesar agrees with his laughing emojis. That's that's funny. Um, so that's so yeah, I'm with you with that. People, I mean, guess where I'm from, people fought. I watched a lot of fights, but it wasn't like crazy. But I hear that's like a thing in Massachusetts. Here, it's like a common occurrence. Thank you, Dollar Man, again, and Keith S. Also, Mr. He's one of our residential Africa travelers. He's over there in Algeria, I think, at the moment, and he was wondering, have you been to Africa?
No, I haven't. I have plans to go there next year. That's currently on the list. But I would be. I mean, I'd be doing Egypt. I want to go see the pyramids. But so far, I've not been over there.
Hmm. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
is there? Hmm. Oh, Tunisia is where he is. Sorry, that's right. He's close to Algeria, I think. Um, so, hmm. So, as somebody who is not a world traveler like myself, I'm looking to become a world traveler very soon. And the first trip is going to be Italy, and then I was looking to go to Japan afterwards. Um, but I wanted to know a little bit about like Japan. It seems like you have a real love for Japan.
Yeah.
If I have that right, what's like the main um, I don't know what draws you to Japan, and like what did you guys do there when you went, or what do you do when you
So
go?
uh, when it comes to food, it's the best food I've had in the world.
Hmm.
It's just insane. It is so good. When it comes to safety, you're not going to feel in danger anywhere.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and then just like there's just so much stuff going on. Just like it's funny. You go into the city when you go there, you're gonna see like, oh wait a minute, is that there's like a big statue of Godzilla like right near
Is
the
there-
buildings. It's like I don't know, maybe 5 stories high. It's kind of crazy to see that. It's pretty cool.
huh.
Um, yeah, you just see Godzilla's head in his hand. No, I've always been into um, just different things about Japanese history. And I've wanted to go for a while. Actually, when I booked my flight and everything to go there, I booked it while it was still closed because I was like, I think it's going to open up. And like the two places actually I wanted to visit was Tokyo and Italy as well. First,
Hmm.
not first, but I guess in first coming back from the pandemic.
Hmm.
And uh, originally, when I first tried to book Italy, there was like I couldn't quite figure out if I was for sure actually going to be able to go to Italy
Hmm.
because there were certain rules with testing and things like that. So I just um, decided to go to. I was actually going to do Istanbul and Italy, and I just said, you know what, let's just do Istanbul, and I had a blast in Istanbul. So, yeah, as someone who's going to soon be a world traveler, one thing that I'll say is definitely go see the places that everyone's like, oh, you have to go to Japan and this, but places like Istanbul where your money's going to go really far, the people are incredibly nice. Definitely check out like some of the places that people aren't even bringing up as much. Yeah, but Tokyo, you're
Mhm.
gonna have a blast there. It's just incredible. It's so much fun.
Huh. And I think a lot of people actually who's in the in the world obviously, but a lot of people who watch this stuff, they Japan's obviously a very common place that people aspire to go to. Um, you know, like the Balkans. Which
Is a 7-Eleven. It's funny because 7-Eleven in
oh
Tokyo, you can like go get like nice sandwiches and like
hmm,
all yeah, all different types of food where everyone was telling me about how they're getting eating at 7-Eleven. I was like, I mean, I go to 7-Eleven when it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and there's nothing else open, and that's the only place I can get like a quick snack. But there,
yeah,
people go get like meals and nice things at 7-Eleven, which is kind of funny. So
really?
yeah.
Huh, wow. I'm gonna have to go explore that. That's gonna be like Bucky's part two for me. When I learned of Bucky's, I was like, "This is a wonderland." So I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven there. This is amazing. Um, Actual food in 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
But like a lot of people, I think, they want to go to Japan, like myself, and it's a common theme. But we don't know what like the first step is. So like, is there like okay, I decide I want to book Japan. What's like the best airline, like best points and mile? How can I get there as safely and as money free as possible? Do you
Yeah.
think?
So if well, depending on what level of how you want to travel there, if you want to do first class, American Airlines is going to be the best way.
Hmm.
80,000. Well, I guess technically that's not right. Technically, the best way would end up American Airlines, I think, is going to be the best, easiest way to do it. Technically, the best way to do it is going to be with Virgin Atlantic for uh, ANA first class. So that's technically going to be the best value when it comes to doing it with points, but it's I think it's a lot harder to find.
Hmm.
When it comes to Japan Airlines first class, 80,000 points with American Airlines, I think that ends up being a um, more open, available flight as compared to the first class with ANA through Virgin Atlantic. And if you're very much assuming you're going with your wife, so if you're looking for two seats, you're going to have a lot more of a chance doing it with, I think, American Airlines on Japan Airlines. So that's what I would recommend if you're trying to do either first class or business class. I think there's going to be more availability, but technically for the lowest, it's going to be Virgin Atlantic.
Got it. Got it.
40 minutes. Yeah.
Gotcha. I guess if in the greater point systems, if someone who has like I don't know, a few 100,000 Chase points, American Express points,
Hmm.
or which one would be the one you would think to
So you
transfer?
would use, yeah, I mean, you could use those transfer over to Virgin Atlantic during a transfer bonus. And then if you can find Save Reward availability, you do have to call, but you
Hmm.
can get yourself a business or first class flight through Virgin Atlantic. They did just have I mean, I guess it was in the last like couple months. There was like a devaluation. I can't remember exactly how much it is. I think it's what is it, 100 it's somewhere near like 150,000 points round trip, but for first class, you're looking at about 70,000 points
Hmm.
each way. There is a few $100s in taxes and fees. Um, I could be off by a little bit of points. I haven't looked at it, and I remember like what it was before. It was 110. It was like insanely low, um, but it has changed. But that's technically the best. But I think that when it comes to like um, if when it comes to availability, what I've noticed is that uh, so if you happen to have American Express membership reward points, if you it's going to cost more, but if you want to find the most availability, British Airways is actually going to be also partnered with Japan Airlines, and you actually could get earlier availability through British Airways for Japan Airlines than you would with American Airlines. So
Hmm.
if you want to do a business class flight, you technically will probably find more availability 11 months out versus with Japan Airlines. I think it's closer to like 10 months out, so you get like an extra month. But it's going to cost you like 30-ish thousand more points. So it might not be the most, not the best value, but
Hmm.
I try to look at both value and then also like probability of finding availability.
Hmm. That makes sense. and then also, okay, so that kind of solves that. So kind of, okay, work your way around, kind of, probably try to get AA or just like a Virgin Atlantic, something like that. So that's interesting. And then also, so once we take the flight, so this is like a three-parter here. So we got the flight down, so that's number one. Cool, we got that. Um, Now number two, well, I guess the flight is there like a recommended airport, or these just kind of usually go out of like a JFK or something like that?
Yeah, for you,
Well,
yeah, you
me,
probably want to
yeah.
look for JFK, or you could fly over to LAX or SFO to at least stop. I mean, you're gonna have to stop somewhere first, anyways. If you
Hmm.
want to do a quicker one, you go to JFK. Um, but if you get to the West Coast, you're gonna have at least more because you could have SFO. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of different options because you have
Hmm.
Chicago. So I don't think that if from your position, since you're going to have to go to one airport, I wouldn't even look for one specific. I would just go look for what's available. Like it's actually
Hmm.
probably better for you because for me, I'm pretty much looking for from LAX or SFO and maybe even Seattle. But for you, you're going to have to go this direction anyways. You're going to have to go somewhere anyways. So whichever one's available, you could have Chicago, you could have JFK, you could have San Fran, Seattle, and LAX.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. And then okay, so then once we got the flights, now we're getting there. But now we got to figure out what we're gonna do when we land there, which is like where we're gonna stay. Are there any particular like I don't know, the Marriott's, Hilton's, Hyatt's? I'm guessing you're gonna say Hyatt, but are there any ones that you think are more valuable to stay at one over the other, maybe points wise or just
So
experience
yeah,
wise?
so well, with Hyatt, there are a ton of Hyatts out there. There's a Grand
Hmm.
Hyatt, there is the Park Hyatt, there's Hyatt Regency. There's actually multiple Hyatt Regencies. Um, if you're looking for good value for your points, good location, the Hyatt Regency was the one that I stayed at for the first 5 days, and then the last 2 days I stayed at the Park Hyatt in Tokyo.
Hmm.
That was kind of the thing where I wanted to. Uh, I like to go places where I get a decent or like a really good hotel, but I don't always need the top. However, I had a 1 to 7 category certificate, so I was like, well, I'm going to use it at the top hotel. So stay a couple nights at the um, Park Hyatt is what I did, but the Hyatt Regency is like right above the subway. So literally,
Hmm.
you just walk right out of the hotel, you go down the stairs, and you're already at the subway. You can easily get to anywhere you want to in the city. The subway system in Tokyo is the I've been to a number of different places. The subway system in the Tokyo is the best in the world. Just
Huh.
anywhere you get to, it's going to be a 10-15 minute walk to any location. So you just get into the subway, 10 to 15 minute walk, and you're at anywhere. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
But yeah, I would say the Hyatt Regency, it's only 15,000 points. I mean, you can get some really good value just staying there for. And I mean, it's. I still think it's really nice. Like it has this beautiful chandelier when you first walk in. That's like I think it was millions of dollars when they first put it up. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now it's not the best. If you want the best, then there's like an Ondas out there as well. That's super nice. And then also there's um, the Park Hyatt. And the Park Hyatt they're actually redoing as well. So by the
Huh.
time you go there, they might already have like a whole new updated Park Hyatt.
Wow. One thing that I'm thinking of as we're talking about this is, are you, uh, sorry, do you
Later, Luke.
ever not? Yeah, I was just looking at this. I don't know if. Oh, gotta go do that stuff. Okay, he's leaving. Okay,
Yeah,
I thought so.
yeah, I'm saying later, Luke. Yeah.
See you, Luke. Just popped in my head. Do you ever travel to these international places and not stay at one of these big brands? Like, do you ever just stay at like a local hotel brand or maybe like an Airbnb?
No, so I haven't done Airbnb. I'm not as big of a fan of Airbnb. When I first realized that I had to clean and then pay for cleaning, drew drove me mad. I know that a lot of people do like Airbnb, and you definitely can get, um, if you have a bigger family, you can get some really good value for it there.
Hmm.
But for me, I stay at these because like the way I do points is my travel fund.
Hmm.
So if I'm gonna do this, then this is exactly how I'm going to be able to travel the world. So I originally was someone who was a cashback person, And
Hmm.
then as I was like, okay, I want to travel more, then I switched over to being points and miles. And then with points and miles, I go, okay, cool. I'm going to use my points to stay at Hyatt. I mean, I guess I'll stay at some of those hotels if it happens to be like I can't find, like for instance, I was in Vegas. I did stayed at the Four Seasons because I just used my
Right.
credit card to give me the $200 hotel credit. I have a
Hmm.
wedding I'm going to next year that I'm using my Chase Sapphire preferred $50 credit. So there's times where I do stay in hotels that aren't going to be uh, within the chains, but it's usually because I'm kind of more forced to than because I
Hmm.
want to.
Got it. Got it. Hmm. Yeah, because I always wonder. I always see some other people traveling, and they're like, "Oh, we stayed at this random brand hotel, and it's I don't know, it looks fairly cool. Like it's kind of, I think it might have been Shelby Church. It was somewhere in maybe it was Switzerland or something, and she stayed at like a castle looking place. Oh, that's pretty cool. I almost feel like sometimes in the points and miles game, we kind of I don't think we miss out that much, but I think occasionally we probably miss out on some unique properties for the sake
Yeah,
of not wanting to pay cash for it. Um, I don't know.
yeah.
I think that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's definitely true. There's like a hotel that I saw out in Greece that looked just gorgeous, but it wasn't connected with any program. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, if I want to stay here, I'm gonna have to get cash back cards to be able to afford to stay at this hotel because that's how I have to
Right.
do the math for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to. Yeah, but you're right. I agree with you there.
So when do you decide to so I've been having this dilemma because I realized unless we get to talking or something, maybe someone else, but I've come to realize that booking this business class flight to Italy, I'm gonna have to pay a lot of money in taxes. Um, and I guess that's just like what I realized. So I've been thinking like I don't really want to pay cash for it. I want this to be like a totally cashless trip, meaning I want to take my Amex points, convert them to cash into my Charles Schwab brokerage account. And I want to use that as my trip fund. So do you ever decide for all these trips that you go on? Are you waiting to maybe you get like a certain amount of like if you have those cashback cards still? Like, do you wait till you have enough cash back? Will you use your points and cash them out as cash, or are you just working like everybody else and you're just going to use your cash to buy the stuff that you do when you get to the locations?
No, I'll pay the taxes and fees if it's. I mean, I'm not going to go to like London where it's like $1,000 or something ridiculous if you end up looking at a first class flight to go for tax and fees there.
Hmm.
But if it's a couple $100, the way that I can mathematically like make sense of it. So, for instance, if you want to go over to Europe, you want to go over to Italy. If you did it with Iberia from the East Coast, you could do it for 34,000 points. The taxes and fees are going to end up being this is during off peak times. So
Oh.
if you go during the summer, I think it's 42,000. I have to check to see exactly what it is. Maybe it's 47. It's somewhere, but I know that during off peak times, it can end up being 34,000. You add in a
Hmm.
transfer bonus, it can end up being even cheaper. Now, the taxes and fees might end up being somewhere near between like 150 or $200. I think it's somewhere around there.
Hmm.
Um, if you just think of it as okay, if you want to cash out your points and you add in another 15,000 points, that still ends up being near roughly, like you're looking at 39,000 points to do, or sorry, 49,000 points to be able to do this trip. So if you wanted to cash it out, you could make it go that way.
Hmm.
But for me, when I actually go to a lot of places that are domestically, I've actually paid cash for a lot of the flights because if the flights end up only being San Fran round trip for like $100. I
Hmm.
mean, yeah, I could end up looking at how to do it with points, but for $100, I've spent $100 on so many dumb things in my life that I think that for that, like I'm just like, yeah, it's fine. But it's the type of trips that I know that there's no way I'm gonna pay for. There's no way I'm paying $4,500 to fly to Spain. It's just not gonna happen, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so you could do that, and that could be the way to to like justify it and do exactly what you're saying. But um, Europe, there's always going to be decent taxes and fees.
Got it. Gotcha. And Chad actually said, Anthony, remember if you fly Air France and a Delta Bird direct, it will only be points plus 560 per person.
Yeah,
That's something I have to figure out still. Not sure how that works.
yeah.
I guess it'll be on there or something. We'll have to talk about it. Um, so Okay. Oh yeah. So that's like taxes and fees. What about like when you like land in certain places? Are you someone who likes to do tours? Do you like to do museums? What do you like to do when you go to like these new
Yeah.
places?
I Tours has been a big thing where it's especially like food tours. I've actually done that in a number of places.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, did it in Tokyo. There was like a food and drink tour. It was a ton of fun. I highly recommend that. Um, like even just the people who I met on the tour, we went out after to this place called the Golden Guy. It's like all these tiny bars that only fit 10 people. So if
Hmm.
you happen to be going, like I travel a lot of places by myself.
Hmm.
Um, so when I actually end up traveling, I usually still end up meeting people, but you'll notice that people who are traveling, whether it be couples or other people who are traveling alone, they're also trying to meet people because if it's couples, they're just talking to each other and
Hmm.
they're happy to meet some people. Like when I was in Mexico last year, I actually met a couple and they signed up for a credit card because I told them that I was staying at this hotel from. So
Wow.
literally, they paid for my entire hotel stay with signing up for one of the credit cards I told them to get.
Huh.
Um, so, but yeah, people are what I've found is that people who are traveling are actually interested in meeting people, and a great way to meet people is going to be on tours. So I've met
Hmm.
a ton of people on tours when going to places, but food tours, I highly recommend food tours, especially in like places where you're not fully familiar with the food. Like I know of sushi and ramen, but uh, like they really took me to all these different places where I couldn't even 100% tell you what exactly I was eating, but it's very precise out there. They'd be like, this is going to be the cheek, and this is going to be the forehead, and this is going to be the esophagus, and you have all these different pieces that you're eating, and
Huh.
so yeah, it's really cool in Tokyo. I definitely recommend that.
That's pretty cool that you get to meet all these people and then you kind of hang out afterwards. I like that a lot. I,
Yeah,
see, I guess it's more you feel more of like some camaraderie when you're out as an American out into these international countries. Because I've done a bunch of tours here domestically. And, talk to some people, but usually people are like, they stay to themselves. Um,
yeah,
but that's cool. I'm sure you do probably link up with a lot of people uh, when you're abroad. Um, and I guess yeah, you could find people who maybe have been there before. Maybe find like secret spots and stuff. Hmm, that's pretty interesting. Um, oh, JP Buffett's in the house. The other JP,
the JP
JP
Buffett.
Knowledge, and JP Buffett. Um, he said food tours do sound like a great way to see a place. See, I haven't done a food tour yet. I've just done just walking tours and stuff like that, and you kind of break off afterwards. So that's pretty cool. Um, hmm, hmm. Trying to think, cause like, what don't usually that's all you think when you go to Japan. You just think like, all right, the food, and then a tour maybe, and you get to see the sights. Trying to think like, is there anything underground that people don't know about? Like, what are some secrets people don't know about when you're going to certain places?
So I don't know about like secrets, but like the
Hmm.
Golden Guy was something that was really cool. So when I was in Tokyo, the Golden Guy was, I mean, someone told me, hey, check out the Golden Guy. And I was like, okay, well, this is in America. And then when I
Yeah.
got there, the people on the food tour said, let's go to the Golden Guy.
Hmm.
And the people who I was communicating with there, the vast majority of them were not from America. They were from Scotland, from Wales, from Norwegian. So it was
Hmm.
all different people, mainly from Europe, who I was in like Australia as well. Um, but we went to the Golden Guy. These bars, as I said, they hold like 10 people, and we got there at 10:30, and I left at 7:30 in the morning. And this is the first time I've ever went to a place where I came out and it was daytime, and everyone was just chatting, drinking, and talking about places that they were traveling. Like I was one of the so people in Europe they get like they can just travel for months. I was there for like was it 8 days in Japan where
Hmm.
people were like, yeah, we're going on 3 months of travel and we're going to this place after and this place after. So they were just telling me all the different locations that they were going.
Hmm.
But yeah, it was like that was where I started to say like, oh, I feel incredibly safe because I was there and you never feel like anyone's trying to bug you or even like steal from you or anything in Tokyo. So,
Huh.
but yeah, the Golden Guy when you go there, I don't know necessarily like. how much you like to stay out late at night. I'm not really a club guy, but I do like being at bars and just chatting with people.
Mm,
And that's one of the places where I was just like, wow, this is a lot of fun.
for
But
sure. Um, and I appreciate that. I like that story. Keith also came in again, Mr. Crazy Keith over here. $2 super chat. Appreciate you again times two. He said, "JP, comma eating wagyu was life changing for me."
it is very good. Very expensive. Very
Did it,
expensive.
did it change your life too?
Changed my bank account.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. It
Just
is
negative.
expensive.
Yeah.
I remember there's like a Japanese restaurant that I took someone on a date to, and we had there was like two slices of like very thin slices of wagyu beef that we had down the street here, and it was like what was it like $17? I'm talking about like these very thin slices each, and it
Yeah.
was just like you had them. It felt like you had like a the size of a piece of beef jerky. It tasted way better than that, obviously, but
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that was very expensive. So
Hmm. What's the country that you feel has well? You said Japan has the best food, so I would say maybe what's the best? What's your favorite country out of all of them if you're not choosing Japan? Maybe.
so Japan was a place where I had so much fun and I want to go back, but I wonder if I would live there because or specifically Tokyo because it's like ridiculously overpopulated. There's so like you get
Hmm.
out the subway and I'm talking about there's tens of thousands of people just moving immediately and it's just like whoa, you feel like you're ants in that place. So
Yeah.
as much as I loved it and also like the language barrier is significantly higher than any other place that I've been to.
Hmm.
So yeah, like in the beginning, I was mainly only talking to Europeans and then Americans. Then I started to finally meet some Japanese people to be around. But like when I think
Hmm.
of places that I could actually see myself living, Germany was so much fun. Germany
Huh.
was great, and the subway system out there is also really nice, very clean. I was there when it wasn't cold, so I can only imagine what it'd be like going back there in like January or something like that. But
Hmm.
I am going to revisit there again next year because my brother is about to get stationed out there, so I'm going to go visit him next year. But yeah, Germany is a place where not the best of food. In fact, that's probably the worst of food of out of all places I've been to.
Wow.
but but it but it's just the people were really really nice in Berlin. In Munich when I was there, it
Hmm.
was I did Oktoberfest and it was just all love at Oktoberfest. So I definitely was just had a ton of fun out there. But I think Germany is probably one where I could see myself moving to, other than the weather.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's really cool. Huh. You'd, like totally like live there for like a year plus.
I could see myself there. It was the way everything kind of. I mean, I'd have to figure out how to get, you know, like similar income out there, but
Right.
just the way that the subway system worked, the way that everyone spoke English very
Hmm.
very well. It's also incredibly safe in Germany.
Hmm.
It's definitely a place where, like, out of the places that I visited, I've been like, yeah, I could see myself. It wasn't too busy. It was busy, but not too busy. So, like, I like living in the city, but there's a level of, if I'm living in New York, if I'm living in Tokyo, where it's just a little bit too busy.
Yeah.
Um, so, yeah.
Huh. I, I like that. See, I've always kind of been on the record. I would love to live in like maybe not right now, but China. But I always mention like Taiwan. I would like to live there for. But come to find out, I think like the way visas work, I think I could only actually be there for like 30 days,
Um,
and then I would have to go back to the United States. But that's somewhere where I would like to actually live like a few months. Um, I just don't know if that's possible. I don't know what you have to do, but at least just get there for the first time. I think that would be a lot of fun just to kind of assimilate and get in there and just you have to emerge like here's the thing that I'll kind of transition to when I so we had Vegas recently. Right?
yeah.
You'll see where I'm going with this, but we went to Vegas and I met up with you and I'm a little bit upset that I didn't get to spend more time with you, but basically we talked for a second and JP got me a drink. He's a he's a professional. He's a great man, and I have to get him back at some point. But he bought me a drink there, which was great, and I was a little bit tipsy, just a little bit after that wine. So thank you for that, sir. And but you have this kind of presence about you that you are. I don't know. You almost have the presence like you're not trying to be anything that you're not. You give it it's almost like a reserved like confidence, like you've done it before, whatever it is. And I feel like it is that you have traveled so much and you've probably seen so much in just short time. Uh, you know, is there any merit to that? You think? Like, did you feel like maybe before you were a world traveler, just like a few years ago, that you were more, I don't know, less grounded as a person?
Um, I maybe I guess I guess when it comes to like feeling confident in this, I just funny enough when I was on like Team Cashback, I was actually like looking into points and miles and how to redeem, and even though like I didn't want to do it, I was trying to like learn about it.
Yeah.
So because I was trying to see what everyone was talking about, maybe in like I don't what year was this? Maybe like 2017 or something like that.
Hmm.
So I was just being like, no, I'd rather the money. I would rather like you could cash out your points for this, and I don't even need to. And then, um, but yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe just the confidence from traveling is actually, or from traveling is giving me the confidence, and actually doing it and actually living it, has made me feel more, you know, like I guess I know what I'm talking about with a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Because anything I ask you is like, yeah, yeah, this is the redemption. This is how many points it is. This is how I get there, and, and that's it. Which I think I don't know. I think that's great. But speaking of, I guess, how was Vegas for you?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it was really interesting meeting everyone, um, and like yeah, it got one. I learned a ton, so that was something that I really liked actually being out there.
Hmm.
People were actually all really cool. There wasn't any drama with anyone, at least that I know of. Everyone was really nice.
Hmm.
Um, Even Sebi, who was out there, was super nice to talk to him and Mandy.
Hmm.
I actually had a great time chatting with. I was chatting with Matt quite a bit. Um, and Chad is actually a big dude. I did not realize he was good. But Chad actually there's a number of things from talking with Chad that actually got me pumped up and motivated, and I'm very happy with the conversations we had. And I don't know how much Chad's even like revealed about himself, but Chad is a hard worker. I don't know what people like. I'm not gonna. He told me I don't know what he's ever revealed, so I don't want to say anything that he's
Yeah.
ever told
Hmm.
me. But he works a lot,
Yeah.
and so when I think to myself like, oh, am I working enough? And I'm like, no, remember what Chad's doing. And I know Chad's at least admitted that that he has a family, so you can hear it in his daughter in the beginning of his videos. So,
Hmm.
but I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. It's just me figuring this stuff out. So I don't have like full responsibilities when it comes to that type of stuff. So seeing what Chad's able to do, pumping out videos, and then also traveling, talking to people, all the type of stuff is like I'm the type of person where I'm competitive in the aspect of when I see other people do it, it makes me go like, oh yeah, that means I can do it too. So I'm
Hmm.
ever wondering like, oh, do I have enough? Yeah, I have enough energy. If Chad has enough energy, you have enough energy too. He's waking up earlier than you. He's doing the stuff that's got to get
Right.
after it ASAP. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, it's true. Yeah, like I, I I didn't think about it, but yeah, I have some conversations off camera with Chad, and it's really just 80-hour weeks, like craziness, just and then still 3 videos a week,
yeah,
and doing live streams, impromptu,
yeah,
like Jesus Christ, like
yeah.
I'm, I'm doing nothing. I'm doing absolutely nothing compared to this guy. And he's an absolute beast, and he was. Yeah, Chad is a big dude for sure. Cesar, sorry,
Yeah.
learned how to say
Yeah.
your name.
Cesar also great person. I mean, he's been commenting on my channel for a very long time. He's been an awesome supporter of my work. But in person, he is so cool to be around. I don't know how long you
Right?
talked to him, but I wish I could speak Spanish so I could actually watch more of his channel. But
Yes.
definitely subscribe to Cesar's channel. He's very knowledgeable and he's just like just he's a super cool dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
He's a lot of fun. He's chatting people up, and he makes jokes and stuff, and he makes fun of people. I,
Yeah.
I like Caesar. Which spoiler, he might just be on next week.
Hey, hey, nice.
We'll
Definitely.
have a good time with Caesar. Um, that's great. Yeah, I loved it so much. I didn't get to reflect on Vegas with a lot of other people. It was kind of just maybe just a little group, and then okay, we went home and everything, and maybe just in our videos we talk about it. But yeah, Vegas was an amazing experience. Just meeting everybody. Um, yeah, it was wild when Sevi walked in. It was wild when he walked in. He's a huge dude too. I didn't
Yeah.
expect him to be like 6'2", beast walking around.
Yeah,
Um,
he's bigger than most people expected.
yeah. Um, Ravnus came in. Okay, fine. He said this earlier. Okay, he said ask him about the. Okay, so Ravnus wants me to ask you what you think about having the next creator meetup at the Frying Pan Hotel. Are you familiar with the Frying Pan Hotel is?
Is this the one that's on your
Yeah,
page? I can't remember the name of it, but I feel like I've heard that one before.
yeah. He thinks we should have
Uh,
a creator meetup there next year.
Over water. Is it gonna consider? We considering that overwater bungalow now? Is that how we're gonna advertise it to people?
Right, right. Yeah, it's not a watchtower or a lighthouse. It's an overwater bungalow. It's a Waldorf Astoria, actually.
Yeah.
It's a damn
If enough
Waldorf.
people show up, I'd probably show up, but
That'd be,
that one looks a little scary.
it's a little scary. Oh, well, I'll take one for the team. I'll be live streaming from there. Um, so, uh, so I wanted to get into so just real quick before we get into the like the Discord questions and everything from the the Discord. I wanted to ask you your journey with YouTube real quick. Just what's your goals for your channel kind of going forward over the next year or so?
Yeah. So funny enough, I actually started doing like personal finance videos. I think it was maybe 2000, it's either 17 or 18. I can't 100% remember. But I was doing some videos back then. There was way less creators at that time when it comes to just like credit cards um, but I guess when I was doing it back then, I moved to Los Angeles to try to become a screenwriter. So I was feeling
Hmm.
like the time I was putting towards that was getting into me screenwriting, which I'm not really doing that much anymore. But so I kind of stopped doing that, and I was more doing like stocks and that type of information. And I didn't find it as much fun because you can lose money with stocks. So if I tell people, Anthony, you got to invest into this specific the JP stock, and then you lose $500. Hey, JP would. Oh, sorry about that. But like, and a lot of people were telling people to get certain stocks, and I was like, okay, these are the things I'm investing in, and then I
Yeah.
was always looking at like cashback. So I had some. I think I've deleted most of those. If not deleted, they might be hidden on my channel. So I don't even know if you can even see them anymore. But like early on, I was doing stock stuff, and then I switched over to doing credit cards, and I just started having more fun with credit cards. And how I actually got into being more of travel is that for a while, like I just would always say, I didn't want to do travel. I wanted to do points and miles. And I was so into just personal finance and trying to save every single nickel all the time. And people would invite me to go to places, and I would not want to go because I'm trying to save every nickel. And occasionally I would go on a trip because I just would use the points and do whatever. And then there was a year, a few it was pre-pandemic, where I was invited to go back home for Thanksgiving, and my brother was going, who's in the military. He was going to go there, and I was like, it's kind of hard for me to get back home because of one, the tickets were going to cost like $700-800 or something ridiculous,
Hmm.
which was a main part of why I didn't even try to even figure out how I could actually get home, because I still actually had to like work on the I think like the Friday or maybe something like that after, or maybe it was the Monday.
Hmm.
So I didn't end up going, and my family all got together. 3 weeks after that, my aunt, who everyone we always have our Thanksgiving at, she passed away. So I've
Uh,
always had this since then. I've always had this in my mind where it's like, okay, I don't ever want it to be because of money that I'm not going to places. I'm always going to try. I'm always going to try to actually get more into this traveling. And if I can't go, at least it's got to be because I just wasn't able to. So ever since then, when people start to invite me to go to places, I'm like, cool, I'm going to go to Vegas. You got the Vegas trip. Oh, all right. It's going to be Labor Day weekend. Might be a little more. I don't care what it costs. I have like I have some money saved up, so it's not that big of a deal. But before I was just so into just
Mm,
save every single nickel. Um, so that's really what ramped up my travel to actually want to get after it. So one thing I could tell people is take the trip. If you have a trip that you're thinking about, just take it because this life is very short. You never know how quickly, whether it be to see family or whether it be to just go see places, you never know if the opportunity ends up getting pulled away from you. But for my specific channel, what I'm looking to do is so I think we all hope we can pay our rent with YouTube. That would be like a great goal that I could actually hit with YouTube. I'm not looking to try to get to the point where YouTube is specifically my main source of income. What I want to do is I understand that I know how to make bookings and I actually know this points and miles game very, very well. And one thing I don't think people realize is that if you understand this information, just how valuable it actually is. So, what I'm working on, and unfortunately, I haven't been able to fully launch it yet, but is going to be a I guess website and program that's actually going to allow me to help people with making bookings, doing one-on-one coaching, and then also doing classes and
mm,
along with YouTube. So YouTube is going to be like the I guess system where people can look at and then understand that actually I do know this knowledge, and then maybe if I get to a certain amount of followers, it actually gives some level of credibility.
mm.
But that's actually what I'm looking for. There are other people who are doing this, and I have actually seen that they are quite successful and I know that I know the information that they know. I don't
Mm.
have the following, but I'm hoping that over time I can actually make this a successful business.
For sure, and just and even if a lot of other people are doing it, at the very least, well, you have the knowledge. That's the first thing, and people are gonna like you more than someone else. That's just how it is. Like people might like your personality over someone else's. So even if it is like that kind of thing, people are gonna be like, well, I really like JP's energy. Like I like his personality. I feel comfortable with him. I would pay him, for the consulting to help me book this trip. Like forget it. Like if I had no idea, like if I wasn't in this space, I'd pay someone like you or I'd pay someone like Chad to
Yeah,
just figure out like how can I get to Japan and wait, I don't have to pay money or anything. I just have to get like maybe put me up on a plane, like get these 2 cards or something and can get me over to
yeah,
Japan. Like that would be just world changing for me. So that's definitely something people can charge a premium for sure.
yeah,
Whoever wants that, whoever wants to, be indulged in that. I think that's a good idea. I think it would
yeah,
be very valuable for a lot of people. Like even me though. Like I'm in the space. I don't know how to do these international trips really. I haven't done them.
yeah.
Like like I
But
need
the
I need some more.
but you know way more knowledge than so many, like the percentage of people, and we talked about
Yeah.
this a little bit offline, the percentage of people who actually just know how to grab their Chase Ultimate Reward points and transfer over to the world of Hyatt. I'm talking about, I don't even think 95% of people even know this is a possibility. They don't even know just that simple thing. Not
Yeah.
even finding how to do a ANA flight with Virgin Atlantic and getting the best available and getting 20 something cents per point, anything like that. Just transferring your points from one program to the next. I just helped someone do this who's trying to get a trip for his wife to go out to New York, and he was like, "Okay, so I am looking to use my Chase Ultimate Reward points. I'm going to use them at this World of Hyatt property. It's going to cost me 60 something thousand points." I go, "No, transfer it over to the World of Hyatt program instead of using the portal. It's going to cost you 20,000 points." He was like,
Wow.
"Oh my goodness, these are the secrets the banks don't want you to know." I go, "No, this isn't a secret. This is just something that they don't teach you. It's like personal finance, they don't teach us in school. So people get in debt and all these different issues end up happening. But if you actually study it, then you realize how much value can actually be in it." So in a 10-minute conversation, I saved this gentleman $400. So I
Wow.
understand like being able to do something like that, being able to do flights, helping someone go to Singapore, helping someone go to Korea. There's a lot of value you can end up doing this, especially when you end up surrounding yourself with people who actually are really high earners.
Mm.
Because
Oh yeah.
someone who I was talking to was saying like at a certain level of earning money, if you're not finding it fun, then it's mathematically not worth your time to even like look into it for some of these people. So if you're
Yeah.
making hundreds of dollars an hour, you can just go, yeah, I'll pay someone I'll pay someone some money to make this booking, save me a ton on the flight, and I'll actually end up saving money in the long haul. So that's kind of the
Hmm.
people, or that's the people I'd be looking for, would end up being like business owners and people who are high spenders.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's quite valuable, the information we have. And I think that I don't think we all realize how valuable it is.
for sure. Like, that in the real estate world, I mentioned this in the past, but in my world, the real estate world, well, not, kind of my world, a lot of the people I talk to, they're forgetting, they don't know anything about credit cards. A lot of these high earning real estate dudes, they know nothing. They know nothing about credit. It's so crazy to me. They're like, what do you use? I don't know. I just swipe this card.
Yeah.
It's like you said, 95% of people don't know you could transfer Chase points to Hyatt. I'll take it a step further. Like, a lot of these dudes, they don't even know that they have a Chase card and that it earns points. They don't even know what points are. Like, I just swipe the card. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's just a credit card. And then you go in their
Yeah.
account, it's like 100,000 points. Like, what? You just have this? You have no idea?
Yeah.
Like, geez, it's very common. It's very, very
Yeah.
common. So I think
Yeah.
you should hit up the real estate dudes.
Okay. I'll look into that.
For sure. They don't know anything about it. It's so funny. Um, so now, if you don't mind, if you want to transition into the Discord questions,
Sure. 100%.
since it's starting to get dark out for me.
Yep.
um, cool. So actually, I want to take this one first from Cesar, since he's in the chat here talking about you two being brutal. He asked in the Discord for you personally, JP. He said, "Do you have any hobbies outside of credit cards and traveling?"
I train Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I've been doing that for a few years.
Let's go, me
Um,
too.
yeah, I heard you talk about it in the last one. I
Yeah.
have had some injuries, so it's been a little bit more limited in the past. I'd say like oh, just the last yearish or so. So,
Hmm.
but I really enjoy it. Brazilian Jiu Jitsu is a ton of fun, very humbling, and yeah, we're all like on our own journey as we do it. But I if it wasn't for injuries, I would be training all the time. But I just have to like take down my ego, not go too hard, and then just
Hmm.
be smart about how often I train. I mean, I'm not old yet. I'm 33, but I feel like my body's been breaking down a lot in the
Oh
last like
no.
2 years of training. I'm just always having to tape this and tape that, and yeah. But that's a fun hobby that I really enjoy.
Jeez. I've been saying we have to have some sort of a meetup event where we do something like physical, like a powerlifting meet for Luke, or maybe we could all get together and do some jujitsu. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah,
We'll live
that would
stream
be
it or
cool.
something.
Luke would tap all of us. I'm pretty sure Luke's been doing it for a while.
Right. That's right. Oh yeah, I would definitely be the worst in all that. I've been doing the least. So that's really cool. So Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's I'll keep that in mind. Um, Keith actually asked. So we alluded to it a little bit earlier, but Mr. Keith also asked in the Discord. He just said Asia or Europe.
Say it again. Sorry.
He just asked Asia or Europe.
Asia or Europe?
Yeah, I guess what do you prefer?
Yeah. Well, Europe is going to be easier to like communicate with people. I think that there's a lot of cool places in Asia you could go if you wanted to actually be more budget friendly. If you went over to like a Thailand or a Bali or Philippines or Vietnam or any one of these places, where it's you could kind of do that in some places in Europe. But even like Turkey is technically like a lot of it's in Asia. Um,
Hmm.
a part of it's in Europe. I guess it's like a small part of it that's in Europe. So if we're talking about like being able to save money, I would say go to Asia. There's gonna be more places over there, but I think they're both fun. Go to both. It's very different. You know, Europe is gonna be more of what you're already kind of accustomed to here in America, at least like how people are acting.
Hmm.
Whereas in like especially like Japan, people are it's different. People are like incredibly respectful. You know, like almost to the point where it's kind of like it's different. You know, you're like, whoa, this is like I never feel. That's why I say like things about like threats. Like
Hmm.
I was talking to someone who was saying how like we were seeing like the police, and the police were just tiny people. And I
Hmm.
remember one of the people was like, "Do you think you could take them?" I was like, "I don't want to fight them." Like, yeah, but do you think that they could arrest you? I was like, it would be kind of difficult. I would.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into that. I don't know why people always ask that stuff, but I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, but they just look, yeah, they were. I think it's because everyone just complies. It's very different than
Mm,
America, where we're just, we don't do any of that stuff here.
yeah. Just kind of roll over. Huh. And Luke said he'll roll, but he needs a 30-second time limit. That's funny. And Cesar says, I can do street fighting. We could do that too. We could do.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do a street. We'll do a street fighting event. That'd be great for charity. That'd be ridiculous. We'll do a creator boxing event for all the credit card
Oh,
YouTubers.
Jesus.
Oh God, imagine that would be ridiculous. Um, Matt Clausen had a question. So funny. Um, so he had more of a theoretical question for you. So there have been rumors of a more higher tiered, higher class Hyatt credit card that they're starting to do surveys on, polling for. You know, maybe it's an annual fee of $400. Maybe it has 2 free night certificates. Maybe it has status with it. Who knows? But he asks, what would your ideal luxury Hyatt card kind of look like for you? You think?
So I'm got to be realistic on both sides. So what I would want, but also what I think that they would actually offer.
Hmm.
If they did, they might do something where it could be like a Hilton, where it ends up being $450 to get yourself a category 1 to 7. I could see them doing that. Something tells me that they would make it more limited on the amount of time you actually could use it. So they could
Hmm.
make it be 6 months, just like the one you currently earn is only 6 months out of a year, which is annoying, but I think that's a way that they can end up like getting more, I guess, less getting allowing you to get less value, maybe even not even use it. And then when it comes to status, probably giving you Explorer status, uh, and then having to do something such as a fifth night free, because other programs are doing that and Hyatt doesn't have that currently. So
Hmm.
they would have to do something if you end up using this card, giving you a fifth night free for your paid stays, or even award stays. That'd be great if they had award stays, but that
Yeah.
those benefits are what I think can end up being more like realistic, and then also maybe a faster way to get to Globalist too. So maybe similar to like the business card, where you end up getting 5 elite nights every 10K spent.
Hmm. Okay. Not bad. So you think almost like an Aspire competitor, so to speak.
To a degree, yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone in the Hyatt community wants to have one where you get the top tier status, because if you
Hmm.
do, especially with how limited Hyatt is,
Yeah.
people are already now like, I'm not complaining because I haven't had that much of an issue, but um, people are already complaining about there's too many globalists now. They haven't getting upgrades that they're used to getting. If you go to like certain chat rooms and forums, um,
Hmm.
but so if you had it so that you had a credit card where you just gave out more globalists, it would just be, I think, there's not enough hotels. They have like, I mean, under 1,000 that actually are part of like the specific Hyatts, not even including like the small luxury hotels of the world. So you
Hmm.
wouldn't even get global status at those. So because of how limited it is for the actual properties, you probably don't want that gives you the top tier, but
Hmm.
a tier below, a fifth night free, and then a higher certificate, I think would be realistic and good.
Gotcha. Cool. Good to know. And I agree. I would love to see that, and I would sign up for that card for sure. Mr. Abdullahi came in the Discord. He's also here, of course, and he said, "Stan, the Credit Frogs Marriott video shook the credit card community, made a lot of people look at Marriott cards and hotel card chain, or the hotel chain as a whole." Um, he was asking, "What is your community breaking take, or what do you think people overlook until another content creator comes along and makes a community breaking video?" So I guess like no one really thought necessarily about Marriott's. Maybe they did, but like now it's like in the know. Like, oh, Stan kind of broke that video, did very well. A lot of people are like, oh, Marriott's pretty crazy. Get the Ritz Carlton card. Um, I guess for you, would that just be Hyatt? You think you're kind of under the radar value? I think it is.
So what's something that people aren't valuing? Is that what he's saying? Like, what's something that's good that people aren't, or
Yeah,
specifically Stan's video?
I guess he's thinking like, what do you think could be like a breaking news in the community, something that could break the community, like his Marriott video did.
Mm.
Um, that's just not talked about. I guess things that aren't often talked about.
Uh, Alaskan Airlines miles aren't talked about enough, and those are
Hmm.
actually really, really strong. Like I know Matt's made some videos about them, and actually I think even Stan's made a video about it as well.
Hmm.
But I think it's doesn't get talked about as much because it's not connected with a bank that has transferable currencies. So, but Alaskan Airlines miles, you get yourself a free stopover, and that can end up being quite valuable because the stopover can, I don't know if it's unlimited time, but can end up being very long. So if you want to fly, like for instance, one of them that I'm taking advantage of is going to be next year. I'm going to Sydney, Australia. Um, but on the way to Sydney, I'm going to stop in Fiji. Going from LAX to Fiji in business class is 55,000 miles in Alaskan Airlines miles. And then going
Wow.
from Fiji over to Sydney is going to be 0 additional miles to stay in business class.
Hmm.
So if it's within the same region, Alaskan Airlines miles end up just being incredibly valuable because you can end up getting yourself some just like, I mean, that flight right there would end up being a few $1,000s. So, yeah, just knowing that you could have the free stopover. If there was a way to transfer points over to Alaskan Airlines miles, then I think that that program would just everyone would be talking about them the same way that they talk about Hyatt or whatever other one of these programs. But since Alaskan Airlines miles are kind of hard to come by, then it's people don't talk about them anywhere near as much.
Wow. That is a great answer, man. Now that would, I mean, it's already like when Matt talks about it, it's a great video or Stan. But you're right. If that were to happen, that would break probably a lot of people's minds. I think that's a good answer. I wasn't aware of any of that. That's cool. That's very cool. And then the last question we have, Mr. Doctor Vinny Boombots, which is the most important question of the night. Oddly enough, he asked you, "Where can I get one of those stylish hats?"
Which one? This one right here? Or is it yeah. What is this? This
Yeah.
is this Bailey's. Bailey's I think is actually the brand. Funny enough, I think I've always had something similar to like this, but um I got these originally in Vegas. I forget what
Hmm.
year that was. I just went to into one of the stores and then saw that they had these hats, Bailey's. They are like somewhere near like $80+ so
Hmm.
they're not on the lower end for a hat, but yeah, I got a few different versions of them. So yeah,
Gotcha.
they're
What
pretty
about the
pretty cool.
fedoras?
Fedora, that one I got in Nordstrom. I just happened to be walking by. It
Oh,
wasn't even that expensive either.
hmm.
But I just was walking by Nordstrom, saw it, and yeah, got that one. So I don't know. I guess I just see them in places and I'll get them. I was just in Seattle. I went to some place, some guy was selling hats and bought some there, and now I have new hats. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's. I'm glad that was something that was troubling me too. I really wanted to know.
get your hat game up, man. Yeah, let's do it. I mean,
I
you got such a full head of hair. Just you have to let it flow. I'm a
I
bald man, so I got to cover up this shiny
oh
head. So,
the shiny head. I don't think I've ever actually put a hat on my head. To be honest, it's never really happened.
you
I don't
don't
know.
need to.
I
My head of
guess.
hair, I would never wear a hat.
Oh, gee. Jeez. Tips Fedora, Ravness says. Well, well, my friend, Mr. JP, I think you really have lived up to your name, Mr. JP Knowledge. I think now having spoken to you, and now this is going to be a dig at everyone else after I say this, but I've spoken to a lot of people in the community. I think JP's got the highest IQ, man. He's on the ball. He
No.
knows everything. This guy's crazy. This dude knows everything. So no, but I really appreciate your time, man, and hanging out with me for this hour and a half. And I hope it was enjoyable for you too.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you everyone who's listening in. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I love that you do this every single week. This is great hearing all the different creators and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
For sure, man. Did you have like any last second uh, thoughts for the people to go out on?
I would just say take the trip. Take the trip. If you're thinking about a trip, if there's something you want to go do, take the trip. It's better to have taken the trip than not have taken the trip.
I like it. We have to make a plaque now. Someone's got to make a plaque. Better to have taken the trip than not have taken the trip. JP Einstein, as Keith said. JP knowledge for a reason. He's secretly JP Morgan. Maybe. Oh my God, Mr. JP Morgan.
Nah,
Ah,
I don't have that type of money.
That's great. Well, again, thank you all for being here. And we got to rattle everybody off, but special thanks to Keith S. and Amazing Dollar Man. Appreciate the super chats. You guys, love you guys very much. And everybody in the chat here. Luke, love everyone here. Abdullahi, JP Buffett, Josh, Cesar, Keith, AA Ron, Ravenous, Matt Clausen, Abdullahi. Is that everybody I can see in this quick little moment? MR, Benjamin, everybody that's here every single week. Appreciate everybody, and Luke, of course. Take the trip, JP Knowledge. Thank you, sir. And I guess everyone have fun, enjoy, and have a nice night. All right. Take care, everybody.